1 minute is left, so I can just start with my introduction. My name is Jay Prakash. Actually, I'm replacing a chair who was supposed to be here, but he had to leave the conference for personal reason. So I will be chairing this session, and simply just the instruction is like for the speakers, it's the 12 minutes talk and 3 minutes questions, and after that we will be discussing in details. We have some time left after all the presentations. Welcome everybody for this exciting session on nanomedicine for brain diseases. And we have the first speaker here, Professor François Berger. He's from Grenoble, and he will be talking about the new strategies with local brain nanofabric intervention between nanoscience and neuroscience. Perfect. Please come here. Thank you.
So good afternoon, everybody. So first, our research is motivated by a very strong biomedical need that is quite failure for classical pharmaceutical approach and maybe also nanomedicine in the field of brain disease, from brain tumor to Alzheimer's disease, and also a huge increase of this disease because of aging. Why? Probably because of the network complexity. It's a specific location in the brain where he expresses the pathology, because of inaccessibility, because of functionality and lesion irreversibility. So, it's okay?
You can stand straight. You can go.
Okay. So contracting with the breakthrough of targeted therapy in oncology, there is nothing curative in this disease. A good alternative is the development of implant, as did Halim Louis Benabil in Grenoble. And you can see that when drugs are not anymore efficient, electrical stimulation can induce a huge therapeutical effect. So we continue in this field, and we try to develop theranostic next generation implant. And the first objective is to be able to find what are the relevant pathways for potential targeted therapy. Our obsession is to translate at the bedside, and so we try to anticipate that, and I will discuss that all over my presentation. So I will focus the result on the exploration. How could we find the expression of pertinent, relevant molecular pathway in the inaccessible brain, because it's not possible to induce lesion. And I want this to be compatible with molecular investigation, multimodal imaging, and also to focus on the last result of the neurobiology, that is the impact of microenvironment and peritumoral tissues that are not accessible to surgery. So we first validate the concept of brain biomarker interface in collaboration with Pierre Burkhardt in Genève. And in fact, we demonstrate that in contact with the metallic stylets that it introduced in the Parkinson brain, we can recover some fresh human brain tissue, and this is compatible with next-generation sequencing or proteomic investigation. So it initiates now an international brain print consortium and a brain print biobank, and the objective is to implement specific targeted therapy. But this technology is very difficult, and as a clinician and neurobiologist, my dream is to have a spatial slice of the human brain network, and for sure this is impossible because I might induce a lesion. So we discussed with engineers in Grenoble, and the idea was to use silicon and to add chemistry to catch by an adhesive way the extracellular matrix and the cell in the brain when you introduce a stylet for neurostimulation. We use for that a specific and patented chemistry, anionic chemistry, and we demonstrate that it catches the brain microenvironment and neuron and cells. And this takes several years. The huge problem, and I think it is one huge problem in nanomedicine, is that we have many covers, but we have a very few translations at the bedside. And so we had to do many things to implement the clinical trial, sterilization, to implement a GMP production facility in the clean room of the Leti, big animal preclinical toxicology in primate and in pig, and we need big animal and we need primate to do that. And after, to implement a multi-center trial, and we decide not to start by neurodegenerative disease for ethical reason, but by glioblastoma, because all glioblastoma patients will die. For that, the regulatory agency, because it was the first time that we introduced silicon and chemistry inside the brain, asked a phase 0 trial with the first patient in Grenoble and with a huge multimodal investigation with interventional MRI, molecular biology, and many different multimodal endpoints. And you can see here the huge difficulty of the first in man. It's a young woman, the brain tumor. We did the brain print technology, and she had therapy. And you can see what we detect, the tumor decrease, but the clinical status of the patient is more and more bad, and you can see all this multimodal imaging. The first hypothesis is an inflammatory reaction, which could be a side effect of the technology in the brain. But she died, and we know now that it was a brain toxoplasmosis because she's immunodepressed. And now we did 20 patients, and you can see the safety. A biopsy, it cuts vessel, it cuts the neuronal cell, so it's all in the brain. The brain print technology, very difficult to see it, no hemorrhage, because you just push the cells and you recover a very small amount of tissue that we demonstrate that it is compatible with next-generation sequencing and proteomic analysis. We try to enhance the technology. First, do we have enough data to extend to a non-lethal pathology? It is pituitary adenoma, and the clinical issue was to discriminate during surgery, normal tissue, and the tumor to preserve the endocrine function of the woman. We determine proteomic mass spec signature, and we demonstrate that directly on the device, on the brain print, we can discriminate during surgery the tumor and the non-tumor formation. Also, now in neurosurgery and in brain investigation, we have more and more optical dye. So the idea was to mix optical biopsy and the molecular brain print technology. So we use the confocal fiber technology from Mauna Kea, and we designed a device associating both. You can see the exploration, the deep exploration that you can do inside the brain, and we validate the feasibility. You can see MRI, you can see the detection of the fluorescent cell, and what we recover on the device. So it's a new strategy where we can differentiate the tumor cells with optical labeling, and at the same time that is impossible with molecular biopsy, with classical optical biopsy. We are able to investigate the molecular information, discriminating all the tumor microenvironment complexity, and we validate the feasibility. This is gliolan in a human glioblastoma. So we did glioblastoma, we did pituitary tumor, and we had huge discussion at the international level, and especially at Mayo Clinic. Is it possible now to move to Parkinson's disease? It's a very hot topic to have targeted therapy in Parkinson's disease. In fact, we said no, because our technology with microstructuration, 50 micrometer microstructuration, could be dangerous. So after a discussion in Houston with Mauro Ferrari, who developed nanoporous silicon for pathological fluid bioharvesting, we had the idea to develop nanoporous on silicon wafer, 20 nanometer nanoporous silicon. So it was very difficult to implement on the wafer the technology to be compatible with a very small size of the device, and now it's done. And we demonstrate that we catch all the cellular component on the brain, and you can see here the huge interest of this technology in the primate experiments. We clearly demonstrate this is mass spec imaging, proteomic imaging directly on the silicon chip. And you can see that the profiles that we have provide a perfect mapping of the neuroanatomy. So it's a smooth surface, so less dangerous, no chemistry, immediate capture, and compatible with high miniaturization. So now we have an ERANET associated with Mira Marcus in Tel Aviv, and we should start the clinical trial next year. We had several discussions, ethical discussions. Do we need to do only the norm? You know the biology of toxicology to do a clinical trial, it is the biology maybe of the 70s. We decide that probably we need more. We did behavior, we did MRI in primates, but we decide to use the best of the polyomic investigation to clearly show that the nanoporous contact with the brain was not toxic. And you can see here, we did proteomic imaging and also sequencing. This is the gliotic reaction with a metallic stylet and with a nanoporous stylet, and we did not find any difference. So now all the preclinical data demonstrate safety. We had, again, huge discussion. Could we start by Parkinson's disease? We said no. We will start with 5 patients with glioblastoma and move very quickly to Parkinson's disease. Last modification that we did, it is very important now to catch the metabolome. And to catch the metabolome, especially in brain tissue or cochlear tissue during brain implant, cochlear implant surgery, Leti Ingenieur developed a 1 nanometer nanoporous silicon, very small, compatible with the bioharvesting. You see, he has control, classical technology, and he has a small nanoporous. We enhance dramatically the capture of the metabolome and also stabilize it. So it could be a very interesting companion device for neuroprotective therapy, and now we are developing it for neuroprotective for implant. So we validate a new biomedical procedure, providing access to the molecular and cellular investigation in inaccessible brain and tumor territory. It could make possible targeted therapy for brain neurodegenerative disease and also gives the opportunity to renovate targeted therapy in oncology. This is also associated to all the development of the lab, that is to develop local innovative therapy with electrical stimulation, but also other physical modality and local molecular delivery. At the end, something very important that comes from this, and that is our priority now, is to develop a nanotechnology, nanomedicine project, integrating the obsession of clinical translation. And I think for that, we need to develop new methodology, early translational anticipation, early anticipation of the production of the first prototype, developing phase 0 technology, nanotechnology trial, and very important, it is the brain, and the brain is a very important tissue, and we have to have a very strong position in front of the non-ethical ideology, such as the transhumanism ideology. Our technology need not to alter and to modify the human brain, and no science fiction like is done by some scientists and the transhumanist ideology. Thank you very much for your attention.
Thank you, Francois. When you are doing the glioblastoma and you're saying, okay, here is a terminal disease, Parkinson's is not terminal, therefore we wait for the first to go to the second. What are you looking for that then makes the step to the non-immediately terminal disease then justified?
In fact, what justifies that was the risk, the risk-benefit ratio. You know, Parkinson's disease, the life expectancy is quite normal. So we are in this very difficult context of first in man. And also, to be honest, we are a lot to integrate that for us, the preclinical toxicology and efficacy, you know, I cure all the mice glioblastoma in my lab, but all my patients die. So that clearly demonstrates that all our preclinical experiments are not predictive at all. So when it is the first time that we introduce a technology, we decide to start with glioblastoma. That was very difficult, so we did a sociology thesis to have a very good informed consent. You have to explain that to the patient, and when it is the first patient, it's not very easy. And you know, in glioblastoma, you have the tumor, but you have the peritumor area. So we did, as I show you, brain print inside the brain. So first is, but you know, the patient is the, I am a bit provocative, but it is an animal model. It is the real model. So we introduce the device in the normal brain, where nobody would have done a biopsy. And from that, after 5 patients, we have an international discussion, and they state it is not toxic. So after, the agency, the French regulatory agency, accept to move to a non-lethal pathology, but it was a bit a strong discussion. And we had, again, this ethical discussion with nanoporous. So you know, it's when you have a nanovector coming from the blood circulation, you have a very few in the brain, but here you have a lot. All our results with primate, and this is another ethical issue, soon probably we won't be able to do a preclinical experiment on primate in Europe. We did not detect any abnormality compared to the gliosis of a classical surgery device, but we state that, again, we have to start with glioblastoma. This is, I agree that this could be an ethical issue that is new, because it's clearly the statement that the glioblastoma is becoming the model. So that it's clearly an experimental model. I could tell that we will have some biomedical benefit, but for sure. So with the agency will probably accept with 5 glioblastoma, and after we move to Parkinson's disease.
Thank you very much, Professor Berger. I think in view of the time, we have to move on, and we will be having the time for questions later on. Thank you very much. Please applause for the speaker.